Hello, everybody, and welcome to POAP Community Call number 35. For me, at least, it's been a wonderful September 7th, 2022. Hope you've had a great one as well. Glad to have you here tonight with us to talk about all things POAP. Of course, I am one of your hosts, Mr. Mojo of the Poapp Report, and I'm here with a bunch of my friends. First, I'd like to shout out Superphiz from East Acre. Hello.
Hello, glad to be here.
And we also have the onboarding lead at GetPoapp and also East Acre member, Nixorokish. Welcome up.
Thanks. Good to be here.
We have the lead over at Ultrasound Merch and Poappathon, the lovely JENetics.
GM, we need devs.
And we also have three members of the POAP team up here. We have Amanda, Anthony, and Frankie. Welcome up.
Hello, everyone.
Ka-chow.
Hello again.
All right, such a wonderful cast and crew with us today, as always. So, first I'm going to talk a little bit about our POAP, just really quick. So, of course, we give that out at the end of the call. But to help yourself out, you can go over to the Join Guild chat or channel here in the official POAP Discord and go ahead and join the guild. That's going to help you out a lot later because that's going to give you access to being able to get our POAP today. But all right, everyone, there is quite a bit on the agenda. And over on, we're going to start off with this. So over on the POAP Discourse, there was a post dropping some secret word guidelines, and I would like to go over them really quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and link the post here in the community calls chat so everybody can take a look at it. In fact, I'm going to have to click on it myself. All right. Hopefully that took y'all where it needed to go, to me to the bottom of the page. But all right, I think it took me to my post that I have on there, but just scroll up, everyone. You'll be able to see it. So it gives a little bit of what secret word is, but I feel like we're all basically familiar with what secret word distribution is, especially if we're here in this call, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But there are three guidelines that the Curation body decided to write down to help out issuers whenever they're giving out their POAPs using secret words. So the first one is the secret name. So it says here, it says use a random secret and don't use a word that is in the title or description of your drop. So if you have something that's called Bob's birthday, use something like we love puppies instead of Bob's birthday because it's going to make it not easy to guess. The next tip that it gives is making your mint window pretty short. For example, the last 15 minutes of the event. And then when you announce, I should say, for the final tip they give, whenever you announce your secret phrase, make sure that you only share it verbally and don't write it down. And so there were a few questions that were asked at the end, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, as well as sort of these tips. And you know what? In fact, actually, before we even get into these questions, how about we actually sort of talk about these tips? Because from my perspective, I really don't think there's anything too bad about them. I sort of want to hand this off to the POAP team for this one. So, Amanda, I'm going to start with you. Did you have any hand in writing out these tips?
You know, Mr. Mojo, I actually didn't. Theo, I think, did most of this. She is amazing.
Yep.
So I'm going to just shout her out right there. I didn't write this particular article. Sometimes I help, though. And Curation as a whole body, we all have input into each of these, but I think Theo gets all the credit on this one. Maybe Anthony edited it, but he can correct me if I'm wrong.
Just a wee bit, and it was, I think it was mostly Ross. I had a little bit, and then I think Ross helped as well.
Shout out to Theo, who I think is in the audience. Well done.
Yep, shout out to her.
He's the best.
Yep, I definitely took a look at these and said, hey, this makes sense. If I was to use secret word, I would probably want this to be the same case as well. But all right, so I guess we can go ahead and just sort of shift into the questions that are here. So the first one that's being asked in this is, how's your experience with this distribution method? And I sort of want to take a look at this from an issuer standpoint and a user standpoint. In JENetics, I really want to start with you on this one because you have quite a bit of experience using secret word for your drop. So I'm going to let you take it away what's your experience with secret word as an issuer?
Oh boy. Secret word is probably one of the easier ways to distribute POAPs because you just say a word, but it is the most annoying way for us at POAPathon because we're streaming on YouTube. And so it's not an environment that we can control what people are doing in that moment. If you, say, had a private Telegram group that you had made to go to, say, permissionless, and then you made POAPs for that group and gave out a secret word for them to mint it, which I also did. Those POAPs weren't farmed because the people in that group didn't share that secret word. But on YouTube, literally within about 15 to 20 seconds of us sharing the secret word, it will be distributed or somehow botted, and all of our POAPs are gone. And what that means is that people that were in the call may not be able to get it. And that's really, really upsetting and frustrating for a lot of our people in the POAP community that are attending these calls, are interacting with the content, not just sitting there, with it playing in the background, but actively participating. And then when they go to mint it, it's already gone. And so it's one of those things. It's like it's a necessary tool, but it makes my eyes twitch. And usually after secret word calls, I get an ulcer from all of the people freaking out about not having gotten the POAP.
Yeah, I would say from an issuer perspective, it can definitely be kind of tricky. So having these guidelines come out is definitely going to help with that. Frankie, you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. So we recommend secret for a few different cases. And it really comes down to an issuer to be responsible with distribution. Not to say that anyone who uses secret, your event can get farmed. But really, it's meant to not be pre-announced. It's meant to, you're having an AMA and you're rewarding your community. Nobody should know about your secret in advance. And you should be keeping a short mint window, 15 minutes or less. If you can stick by those guidelines, chances are your secret drop will go well. We've changed the guidelines and we've updated as we've grown and as the POAP community has grown to adjust for the many people that are passionate POAP collectors. And in addition to that, if you were having like a live stream, secret word might not be the best option. I would recommend a visit to the POAP directory and to use one of our integrations like Rev GG. That if you're doing a live stream, we have an automatic integration for Twitch and YouTube through a third-party partner, which I believe starts for free. So for like more complicated use cases, I would definitely visit the POAP directory to see if there's a direct integration for your use case. If you're doing an AMA, something short, just don't pre-announce it and keep the distribution duration short, and you should have a good time. And so should everyone attending your event. That should be the most reliable way to bookmark your special moment.
Yeah, definitely shout out to the Rev platform. Had a great conversation with the developer over there, I think about 2 weeks ago now. It's a very, very promising platform and a great way to distribute POAPs whenever everything is all running on all cylinders and good to go. So I do want to shift over to, oh, Jen, you had something to say real quick?
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that the community, because I think especially on these calls when we were like, will a dev do something and develop a YouTube plugin? And I'm so excited that Rev did step up to the plate and take on this task. And it's been quite a task to do as well. I have a secret chat with them and several different people in the community that, as they find issues, they can really quickly pop it into the chat and then tackle it head on. And so it's being battle tested right now. And that's what's really exciting about having something like POAP that allows devs to build on top of it.
Totally right there with you. But all right, so Superphiz, you're an issuer who has used secret word in the past. Do you want to talk about your experience with it?
I don't love it at all. In fact, I avoid it whenever possible. just because it works for about 7 seconds until it hits the farmers. So to be very honest, at this point, I would choose not to distribute a POAP before I use secret word.
Yeah, and Nixorokish, so over at POAP, I remember when it was launch time for the product and secret word was used. I can't remember, were you part of the POAP team whenever it launched?
I was not part of that, and I actually don't even have that POAP, so I was not part of that event.
Ah,
I do want to hop in here just for a second. And I think it's really useful for us to make sure we have the full context when talking about the good or bad of the secret word. I think if you're hosting an event that farmers are very, very much attracted to and are well known to be around, I agree that secret word distribution is not the best. But when we're really talking about POAP as like this emergent protocol and tool for coordinating humans, I think secret word is actually pretty great. If you were to just use it with a group of your friends, or if you were to use it at a house party and you picked up a mic and you know everyone had downloaded the app, I actually think it works really, really well. But so I just think we want to caveat that when we say, oh, the farmers are going to get it, I think that's particularly if you have aggressive farmers in your audience, which is not always the case. And I just think we want to make sure we're reflective of where we are.
Yeah, that is so accurate. Like it is. I think every distribution method has its place, and it is really about choosing the right distribution method for what you're doing. And it just so happens that most of what I do when POAP is related is public. But yeah, if it were, if it were something like I'm going to speak in front of a class tomorrow, and if I were to give them a secret word, it would really make claiming efficient because it's a closed audience. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I guess I'm hard on it because it doesn't fit my normal technique.
To paraphrase a famous beer company, please POAP responsibly.
as you're going to say, Amanda?
I'm sorry, Frankie. I cut him off all the time. Basically once a day, maybe 10 times a day, actually. So, sorry, Frankie.
It's okay.
I was gonna say third time a charm. Third POAP employees. Another charm is secret word definitely isn't for everyone. I know that Superphiz, sometimes you pre-announce your POAP, so that wouldn't be a good one for you because people like Ethereum things. But
I elude. I never pre-announce. I elude.
Never.
I don't know. I'm just talking trash.
You're too popular, Superphiz.
I want to cap on Frankie's point, and we talked about this as a curation body this week, and so we put out the article pre-announcing, but kind of what the real root of is, you don't want to promise a POAP to anyone. That's what we're really, kind of trying to strike that balance, is you don't want to promise it to people, because that's, as Superphiz has said on many community calls, not the reason you want people to come to your events. Goes to engagement farming, goes to that. You want people just to come and be a part of it, and it's a nice surprise, like a party favor. You don't go to the birthday party for the party favor. You go to the birthday party because you love Jennifer very much.
And you hope Jennifer is going to give a POAP, but you don't know that she will. But it makes you more who you are because there might be a POAP.
Yeah.
My birthday is coming up, so there might be a birthday POAP.
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know.
Tell us more about your birthday. We need some details. We're ready.
Well, I'm getting back injections. So I plan on doing nothing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's like a really weird way to celebrate. But I mean, I guess it's whatever you're into, right?
Well, I know. I'm 35, so I think when you turn 35, it may be in the contract that you get some sort of medical procedure done on your birthday.
Superphiz is 73. Is that true? Whenever you turn 35, you get medical procedures done?
I legit can't remember 35. I've passed that twice now, so I can't even remember.
Oh man, but all right, to get us back on track a little bit. So basically, Anthony, you pretty much took what I was gonna say out of my mouth. before I was able to say it, which is all right, because, hey, I'm glad you're able to bring it up. As a user, I think secret word has been pretty good, except for like a time or two where I ended up missing the secret phrase, and I was like, oh no, and they're not really going to give it to you again, and so I had to wait until like the recording was available on a Twitter space. But by the time I was able to like re-listen, all the POAPs were already claimed, so I was pretty upset on that one. But except for, that exception, secret word as a user has been pretty good for me. As we've been talking about, it is a pretty fast and efficient way to give out a POAP. However, it's pretty much the double-edged sword. It's so accessible, or I should say it's so accessible, that you end up having people who may not necessarily be there also having access to it. And so you see sort of combinations of things like DGen, whenever it was being maintained for the Twitter spaces, you would give the secret word to DGen, and then it would be like, okay, here you go. So instead of typing /claim, instead you would put in the secret phrase and it would give it to you that way. And you'd only have the 15 minutes and stuff to claim it, so you were already seeing these sort of guidelines given being used by the community to make sure that their POAPs weren't being farmed. And for me as an issuer, I haven't used secret word for anything that I've created petition-wise, but I have been involved with POAPs that did use secret word. And for, as Superphiz said, the medium in which we were trying to give it out just didn't really work well for secret word, so we had issues. But there's definitely a time and place to use secret word, so it's not something that we need to abolish or get rid of, but it's definitely something that we need to use wisely, and really, for a lot of cases, as sort of like a last resort instead of as our first choice. But there's definitely time and place for secret word. All right, I want to take a look at a few more questions that are in here. Is there any suggestions for other issuers or for POAP? I guess we've been kind of talking about that through our woes, or is there anything that someone wants to sort of shine a light on really quick before we just go ahead and move on to the final question? All right, so for the...
Are we doing token proof?
Yes, we will in just a second. All right, so for the final question on this, and then we can move on to token proof. So, have you guys experienced any significant drops that use secret word? And I guess, Jen, I'll go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, I've done, we were doing them at POAPathon. We're switching over to Rev and eventually Guild for our community calls. And I think if you look at like the largest claimed POAP in POAPathon's secret word history, it's probably about 2,000 or 2,500 POAPs. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, which was an obscene number of POAPs for a secret word.
Yeah, well, they get a lot out. Superphiz, any really important or significant drops that you got through a secret word?
I don't really think too much about the deployment method. I do want to say probably the early beacon chain testnets were deployed through secret word. And those are all the testnet calls that we did to view them, or community calls for them. So yeah, those are pretty cool.
And Nix, any other cool drops that you've had using secret word?
Yeah, I think that I agree with Fizz. I can't always remember what the method for getting the POAP is, but I will say that I really do like the short windows, and I find that there's very little troubleshooting with the secret word one. And I say that as someone who has not dealt with it a lot, so maybe I could be wrong, but it seems like a lot of the other ones need long windows because there's a lot more troubleshooting involved.
Can I share one, Mr. Mojo?
I was just about to go through the POAP team. You can go first, Frankie.
Thanks so much. So when I started at POAP, I helped 1:37 p.m. with their drops, and their drop of choice for a long time was Secret Word. They did a 25 days of POAP during I believe December, and during that they introduced a new artist, a new NFT artist every day, and getting to help with those drops and getting to claim those pops from emerging NFT artists was something special, and it was a really cool use case.
Amanda, how about you? Any cool drops through Secret Word?
Actually, my wife and I completed that entire 25 days of POAP, and it was really hard to get secrets every day. We had to plan these sessions into our lives, because you have to be there every day to hear it. So I think Secret Word can be used really well, and especially the short mint window, the 15 minutes. And Secret Word, especially, I was going to type in the chat, but I can say it here, is not really appropriate for like past events because it's best for like if you're right there with the people, you can tell them and download the app and have look at each other's co-ops. It's a friendly experience.
Hey, it sounds like you did some pretty good work on that, and I totally understand having to change your schedule to make sure that you're available for things like that. But all right, Anthony, last but not least, any cool drops that you got through Secret Phrase?
Good question. I think I collected People Pleasers POAP via Secret Word right before she dropped her like I don't know. She like built a product or a platform that was for creators to do like video collaboratively. I don't remember, but I just remember it was People Pleaser. It was by Secret Word. It was on Twitter Spaces, and it was like my first Secret Word as a experience as a collector, and it was pretty smooth. Can't say if the farmers got it or not, but I got it.
Awesome. And then for
And I'm a farmer.
yes, and then for me, there's some pretty cool drops I've gotten. A lot of the Noun O'Clock POAPs use Secret Word, so if you end up going to Noun O'Clock and voting on the next noun for the day, you can get your POAP from those Twitter Spaces using Secret Word, and also things like the Get POAP Launch and stuff I got through Secret Word as well, and a bunch of the POAPathon POAPs that I cherish in my gallery, also through Secret Word. But all right, I think we had a pretty good, getting tongue-tied there. I think we had a pretty good conversation about that. I do want to move on. So, JENetics and Anthony, you want to talk about some news going on with a third-party product. So, Token Proof, they were able to land a $5 million seed round. I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to y'all to talk about a little bit what Token Proof is and give a little bit of background on the seed round. I guess, Jen, starting off with you, take that wherever you want, or Anthony, I guess since you unmuted first, I'll let you take it first.
Yeah,
or
go Anthony.
whoever.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I wasn't too sure, but yeah. So Token Proof, they just raised 5 million in seed funding, and their main mission, what they say is it's kind of an easy and secure way to unlock the value of your NFTs, and so they have built a application led by some investors like Patricia Worthalter from POAP, Mark Cuban, Six Man Ventures, a bunch of the bigger angels and funds. And it's an app that allows you to prove you have ownership of your NFTs, but again, without risking security. So, for example, when I went to ApeFest and near NFT NYC, I was able to prove I owned an ape and access the event with a really, really smooth user experience, but without having to like hold my ape in a hot wallet. So my ape was like not with me; it was in my ledger in another country, and I was able to still access the event. And we've been working closely with the Token Proof team, and they've been really, really great to integrate POAP into their product. The first sort of iteration that they did was when you entered an event, using their app. So if you went to Ape Fest or if you went to another festival, and Token Proof really was the star of NFT NYC, all of the big events were using Token Proof. So respect to their BD team and their BD strategy. You automatically got airdropped a POAP. And we've talked about this in the past, whether that's like a good or bad thing, because theoretically you were not consenting to receive the POAP, but technically you did attend the event, and it's a proof of attendance protocol. So there's kind of arguments on both sides. They're actually going to be rolling out some additional features using POAP and integrating through the POAP API. Particularly, there'll be ways to authenticate or prove that you own certain POAPs. And you'll be able to do that directly from the POAP app itself without kind of cumbersome UX of other applications. So a lot more news will be coming out. Ultimately, being able to prove you own an NFT and getting benefits without risking security is something that is has really good product market fit, I think.
Yeah, I got to experience token proof a couple different ways at NFT NYC. One was tickets just appearing in my token proof wallet that I could use to attend events, which was awesome. And those were either through pre-mint or other raffles, or if the community was just giving out event passes to any holders. That was really, really cool. And that all I had to do was connect my token proof wallet, and then the tickets were already there in my wallet. I also went to the events where it's basically like a magic QR dispenser, and they scan it with a ray gun, and you got into the event. And then the third way was getting those POAPs just by going to the event. And the only way to get the POAP was to have your ticket scanned by one of those token proof scanners, showing that you actually did at least get to the gate. So yeah, proof of attendance, I made it to the gate, which was really, really cool. And I did the BFF event with Randy Zuckerberg, and I was like, people were like, what's a POAP? I was totally being a degen with the IYK discs at that event. And so in telling them about POAPs, I said, oh, and for attending this event, you got a POAP if you already had a POAP app set up. And so that was really cool to be able to show people not only, POAP integrations, but IYK and token proof. So it's really an awesome integration, and it kind of gets around that whole, like, how do we prove that somebody was at an event, but also ease of distribution has really been developed out.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
wanted-
you can go ahead, Frankie.
Sorry, Mr. Mojo. I just wanted to add, I also got to experience token proof at NFT NYC for the first time at the Dead Fellows event. I'm a Dead Friends holder, and I've never had a more seamless experience for going to a community party as well as being awarded a POAP afterwards. It was just a great overall experience. There's a lot of some people have done videos on Instagram and YouTube of the token proof experience. Other than creating your own drops with token proof, I encourage you to check out the recaps people have done.
Yeah, it's such great technology to be able to have, because just imagine a situation where you do need some sort of token to be able to enter an event, to be able to easily pull it up on your phone without actually having it on your phone, because it's using that zero knowledge proofing in order to make it happen. You're able to easily scan into your event right there and then. You attend the event, and when you come out, you get a POAP for attending. Super fast, easy, and efficient. It's really infrastructure that's greatly needed. For me personally, it would have been really great to have at ETH Denver this past year, because I was trying to get into an event that needed a Bufficorn, and so I had to figure out a way to pull up my Bufficorn on my phone. And I remember fumbling through my phone trying to just pull it up on on MetaMask I put on there, because I was trying to get food from those food trucks. And so I was like, well, I could just pull it up on here. But the guy at the door was just like, hey, man, I see all the effort you're going through to show me this. You're good. Just enter. I believe you. But, if they were giving out any kind of POAP at that event, I definitely missed it because, well, there was no way to prove I was there. I just kind of walked in, right?
Just went to all the food trucks and like fumbled with my phone for like 10 minutes until they gave me food. So
Hey, man, I believe you.
that's
Just
a
take
joke.
the
I'm
pizza.
joking. I'm
Yeah.
joking.
Yo, okay, just as an aside, man, the pizza that I got was very disgusting and I was very upset. But my digressions aside, this is really cool technology, really great to see that it's still developing and able to raise $5 million to help further push the tech. Sounds great and it's amazing, and hopefully it's something that I'll get to be able to use later and that all of us will be able to use to easily enter events with our NFTs and walk away with even more NFTs. All right. So I do have another thing on our agenda here. So Superphiz, you want to talk about a great opportunity to earn a Git POAP.
I was like, yeah. Um, this is actually you are helping with this, right? Like I think
Yes,
you're
I am managing
great.
it.
Good. So if you go to my GitHub account, github.com/superphiz, you will find a merge media repository. And that's something that I set up for the community to kind of organize and share resources with journalists who are going to be reporting on the merge. And so I really just want to organize those resources and make them very accessible. And it needs to be more than just like a typo fix. It needs to be like content that actually supports the merge. And really, the best content is short snippet content, because you don't find journalists who are going to like include an hour-long talk or even watch an hour-long talk. But they do benefit from like 30-second sound bites or from very brief descriptions that they can incorporate into their merge media. So yeah, if you go and you find that that GitHub and you find some valuable additions and you submit them, if it is good enough, which isn't really too difficult if you're aware of the ecosystem, then you can submit a pull request and get a Git POAP if it's merged.
Yeah, it's definitely a great opportunity to do so. Whenever people think about Git POAPs, I think, oh man, I'm going to have to contribute some code to some project and hopefully they merge it and whatnot. Well, for this, you don't have to know how to write a single line of code. All you have to be able to do is find resources that would be very, very helpful for people learning about the merge, trying to understand what it means for the crypto ecosystem or just the Ethereum ecosystem, however you want to think of it. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can add to it. You can add videos, you can add articles from journalists. You can even translate things that are in the repo so that it's more accessible to people in places that don't speak English. For example, there's a person translating things in Spanish. There was somebody who started translating things into Chinese. So definitely plenty of opportunity to be able to come in and get a Git POAP. And there's also something as well that's going to be very, very amazing if you do get a Git POAP. So I do have a question for you, Nixorokish. So there is this tweet about a raffle being held by Git POAP where if you have a Git POAP, then you can earn some tickets to the upcoming DevCon. Can you talk about this a little bit with us?
Yeah, we're super stoked about this. We had 2 extra tickets and we were trying to decide what to do with them. And one of our engineers, Burrs, she came up with a perfect idea, which was to give it away on a POAP raffle. And the idea behind this is that we want this ticket to go to someone who is a developer, because this is a developer conference. And how better to find your developer audience than to use Git POAPs. So if you have Git POAPs and you want to go to DevCon, I don't even think there are a lot of entries in this right now. I haven't checked on it since this morning. You have a pretty good chance of winning a DevCon ticket. This link is so weird. Sometimes it doesn't work. So if you just go to the poapp.fun homepage, it's like the 8th one on here or 7th one on here right now. So you can find it pretty easily. But yeah, not a ton of, there are 23 entries in it right now. So pretty good chance of winning it.
Yep, and so I guess the big question would be, so the Git POAP that you would receive from being, I guess, merged into the Ethereum merge repo, does that one count? Should it count?
Yeah, any 2022 Git POAP will count.
He's like, that one's from Superphiz. Is that really worth anything?
Well, I just wanted to make sure because it is a newer repo.
I don't know if anybody's noticed also, speaking of valuable Git POAPs, we instituted a new feature on the site. So when you go to the site, you can actually see the value of contributions, and we tiered the contributions between like gold, silver, and bronze. And when you go to your profile, you can see how valuable your contribution was there. And so that's something that we hope to be integrating into more features. So it would be very cool in the future to have like a poapp.fun raffle where somebody, if somebody had a gold tiered Git POAP, they could be weighted more heavily.
Yeah, it's such a great way to be able to give back. One of the things that a lot of issuers think about is, how can I put more value into my POAPs? And to see Git POAP come out and say, well, we want to give back to developers, and we have 2 extra tickets to this big conference that many people want to go to. Why don't we just give them away to the people using our product? It's very, very amazing to see. And also the Ethereum Merge Media repo, it's going to be a great opportunity for you to step in, even make content for it. You know, if you believe that you're able to put something together that's going to be really valuable for the community, make it and have a pull request. Everything that's going through there, I'm checking and making sure that it fits. So definitely plenty of opportunity for you to fill in some of the blanks, fill in some of the gaps, and make sure that this can be the best resource that it can be for gaining knowledge on the Ethereum merge. Superphiz, is there anything else that you would like to say about the repo before we move on to our community discussion topic?
No, other than it's a great way to source community talent and give other people a chance to show their skills and build something together. So I really would encourage other people to kind of crowdsource these opportunities.
By the way, I just wanted to mention that Git POAP did put out a contributor's guide to get a Git POAP recently, and so it does outline like what makes a good pull request and how to do a pull request. And Frankie also just linked some cheat sheets and tutorials. So you don't even have to know how to use GitHub at this point. You can learn very easily.
Yep, definitely become active and become a participant, everyone. We definitely like to see people come in and make just things great, make things better. So let's crowdsource and make sure that everything is looking great and good so that everyone's able to learn during the merge. But okay, we are going to move on to our community discussion topic for this week. So over on the POAP discourse, you may be able to see it if you go and look up in the event details. So there is a discourse post right now asking people to share their first POAP. I'm going to go ahead and post a link in the chat, in the community calls chat as well, so you can quickly go there. But this is going to be a round robin for everybody. I'm just going to go top to bottom for the people that I see on my screen. I would love to hear where you got your first POAP, the event that you got it from, what it is, and etc., etc. Anything you can think about it. So Nixorokish, you're on the top for me. I would love to hear the story of collecting your first POAP.
Oh boy, what was my first POAP? Give me a second. I'm gonna have to look up what my first POAP was.
Yep, this is a chance for everyone else to look at their POAP gallery and see, oh, what was the first one that I ended up claiming?
You know, I will say the thing that got me introduced to POAPs was I was in ETH Finance. I have been in the ETH Finance subreddit for a long time, and I was reading it, and Superphiz was absolutely bragging about all of the POAPs that he had, and I think he was doing raffles or he was gating something with POAPs, and I was just so mad that I couldn't get in any. And I think I commented on one of his comments, and I was like, how do I get one of these? So I think my first one was actually a Eastaker one, because I was mad that he was bragging about it but not giving us any ways to get it, and so I
Totally
went
made
to
me a bragger. I was creating demand. I was educating about need.
You absolutely were, and it gave me a lot of FOMO, and it worked. And now I have like 170 POAPs. Yeah, it was an Eastaker community call, number 17. And then the next one that I had, I think, I want to say it was this one. Was it the Berlin upgrade party, the one that was at like 3 in the morning, Pacific time? I think it was that one because I set an alarm and I woke up 15 minutes before this, and I like laid awake in bed with my eyes half open trying to wait for the secret word, because I think that was a secret word one.
Nixorokish, what was your first IRL POAP?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Oh. The first IRL, well, the first IRL, oh geez.
You know, I'm gonna have to look at my POAP gallery just to be able to answer that one. I definitely know my first POAP, but I don't remember my first real life one. I gotta take a look too.
I want to say, oh, you know what? It was at HodlerCon. I went to HodlerCon this year, and it looks like my first IRL one was Woe's POAP. And Woe actually made the template for all of us to make our HodlerCon our HodlerCon POAPs. And I was really proud of myself because I was so aggressive with my first in IRL giving away POAP that at HodlerCon, no one minted more POAPs than they had minted mine. Does that make sense? Did I say that okay?
Yeah, no, totally. That's awesome.
We're that person who walks around HodlerCon saying, "Hey, do you want my POAP? Hey, do you want my POAP? Hey, do you want my POAP?"
Yes and no. I did this extremely insecure thing, like security wise. I just turned my phone on one day when we were at a happy hour, and I like locked the screen on, and I put the dynamic QR code on, and I put it next to the beer tap.
I definitely remember that. My face was there.
Your face was there at that happy hour, but everybody was like, "You're just leaving your phone there," and I was like, "Yes, I want people to get my POAP."
Oh man.
That is so inconsistent with everything I know about you, by the way.
Yes, yeah, I know.
All right, JENetics.
I-
I'm definitely interested in what your first
Mhm.
POAP was, and then what your first IRL POAP is. Now that Frankie brought it up.
Yes, I posted them down in the chat, but my first POAP that I finally made someone explain to me what exactly a POAP was the Bankless DAO Community Call number 5. I had been attending for 4 other calls, and they'd say, "Okay, to get your POAP, you do this," and I was like, "I don't know what this is." So there you go. Was Community Call number 5 for Bankless DAO, and then my first IRL POAP was from Oops at ETH Denver.
Was from Oops at ETH Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a great event. I was able to get so many IRL POAPs, and I'm sure everybody else that went to that event was able to as well. I got to meet a lot of people I'd been talking to on the internet for a while in person. Is really cool. Yeah. Like, oh man, you're more than just a head and shoulders on a webcam on my screen. You actually have legs.
Yeah, it was shocking to see people were not cartoon characters. My heart was broken.
Oh yeah, because people have the like cartoon or like anime profile pictures and stuff or whatever, like the drawn out caricatures of them.
Yes, the majority of the people I interact with in the NFT space are PFP NFTs, and so meeting like what you're not 2D was quite great.
You have 3 dimensions about you. That's crazy. I'm absolutely loving everybody sharing what their first POAPs are in the community calls channel. Awesome. Everybody keep posting what your first POAP is. I'm scrolling up and down to take a look at them. But all right, so next up here on the panel, Amanda, please tell me, what was your first POAP and your first IRL POAP?
Hi. My first one I just posted, it was the Be Friends to Christie's, which was actually distributed by Secret Word. So full circle on that evening. And then my first in real life actually might have been one of my own, because where I lived, there weren't a lot of people. Oh yeah, I think I made my first in real life, so let me not count. But my first like in community POAP was the Sandbox. POAP Sandbox weekly Canvas week 39 was my first like in the ecosystem one. So that's the real personal.
What was that event? The one that you were just talking about. What all happened at it?
Which one?
The one that you just spoke about, the long title. I couldn't remember absolutely everything that you said in terms of its title.
Oh, the POAP.art Sandbox weekly Canvas.
Yeah, that one.
For
Yes.
last year. Yeah, last year you could DM the POAP bot and it would send you a POAP token for the weekly canvas, which was like a mural that we could all paint on. We kind of talked about last week, and there's actually going to be a POAP canvas for the merge party for the merge. And I have been looking at Git POAPs all week for this event because Logic Beach made sure to grab the developers and different Git POAPs and different community. He really did a lot of research in getting all these different contributors to the ecosystem to be able to paint on the canvas. So with certain POAPs, you'll be able to get a little bit of a boosted level to paint pixels. And I know he's been ramping up the guild in the POAP art Discord for a few weeks. So that was a public canvas. It actually shut down at the beginning of this year because it's something that I think is really special too. So I think it's something that we're looking to sometimes use with communities and see what we can do with that. So we are looking to spin up a way to make these types of requests, and Anthony might be able to speak to this in a more formal way because he is the point on that. But
Anthony
art
is
is one of my favorite things.
Anthony is apparently brushing his teeth at the moment.
Yep, he has to have that good dental hygiene.
No, I finished.
Oh, he finished. Amazing.
Yeah,
none of
so
us could smell your breath. You were fine.
my teeth are perfectly clean, but I didn't scrape my tongue yet because you guys interrupted. But yeah, I mean, POAP art is super great. I'm super glad we have an event upcoming, and kudos to Logic Beach for helping to really get that pushing forward. I'd say we certainly should see more and more communities coming online and using POAP art, probably starting early next year. I think we're still kind of refining how we're going to handle that internally, because there is some prep work that goes into having art parties, and we're relatively limited on bandwidth, but we do want to help communities, and so we're just going to have to figure that out internally. Like, I mean, how many people does it take to have an effective art party? What should be the cadence in between art parties, and how should they request to have them? And there's like a lot of unanswered questions, and I haven't allocated too much time to it, but we do get questions asked. I know Sushi wants to have one, Basic Attention Token wants to have one, quite a few want to have one, and so hopefully next year is a lot of art parties.
Going to be a pretty good time next week whenever we're all placing our pixels, but I'm going to present the question to you, Anthony. What was your first POAP, and what is your first IRL POAP that you claimed?
So my first POAP is the same as my first IRL POAP, and it was from Patricio himself in 2019 at DAPCon one of the first booths that POAP had. I think it was like their 5th event they went to or something like that. So in the earlier days of POAP, had a great conversation with Patricio at the time, asking him about like Sybil resistance, coincidentally. And now many years later, it's still a problem we face in not just POAP and not just crypto, but hey, even Twitter is not being purchased anymore because they could not solve Sybil attacks. So it's a big problem. Proud of this POAP, love it. It's on a random wallet because I used to be weird OPSEC with my wallet. So one day, hopefully, I can ZK bridge them all to one single location.
All right, then I guess I'm gonna have to switch up the question for you a little bit. Then, Anthony, what was your first virtual POAP that you were able to mint?
Ooh, first virtual POAP. Probably. I would say it was one of the testnet painting parties. I think Superphiz. Did we do a painting party for one of the testnets?
It's Topaz. As I'm studying for mine, I'm looking at the Topaz call on Twitter. I'm sorry, on YouTube, and I'm seeing you there. So it looks like that was my first POAP. It was probably your first virtual POAP.
Wow, let's go, man. We've been POAP brothers ever since.
All right, I guess I'm going to throw it to you, Superphiz, then. So you already gave a little bit about this Topaz launch party. Can you explain what it was a little bit more and then go into your first IRL POAP?
Yeah, so I had met up with Buddha and Lamboshi, and we connected with the prison team, and we were going to support their launch of the Topaz testnet. And some guy starts DMing me saying, hey, we have these badges. Do you want to hand them out? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. And so he invited me to a product call, and I still was kind of confused about it. But then we did the call, and he came on, and that was about the first couple weeks that I had met Patricio, and he delivered a POAP, and I got one virtually, and I've mostly been hooked ever since. If you stalk my POAP wallet, you'll see that I have a DEFCON 4 POAP, and that's where I must confess that I bought it on OpenSea because I thought it was cool, and I'm like, I want an early DEFCON POAP. But now it's like almost embarrassing because I wasn't really there, but I own the POAP. So, regarding my first IRL POAP, honestly, I don't even know. I don't remember. I wish that I did, but I've met a lot of people in real life, but I don't remember the first one that I got.
Oh man, yep, that's why you have to look back at your gallery and really, I think that's why you like POAP so much too. I think you and me are sort of in the same boat where it's like we don't necessarily remember absolutely everything, and we're able to look back at our POAP gallery and be like, oh yes, I remember that event, like it was yesterday now because I had the memory jogger due to this little NFT.
I'm seeing this POAP God POAP where he has the gauntlet, and I remember it. These really jog my memory. Even though I don't remember everything I've ever done, I can really look at these POAPs and be like, oh yeah, I remember getting that. So it's really neat for me.
All right, Frankie, you're the one who's last in line. What was your very first POAP, and then what was your first IRL POAP?
So I'm going to follow up on something Superphiz just mentioned, which is it's really cool synergy in a second. But my first POAP was a Beacon Book POAP from one of Gitcoin's raffles. And that's what got me into POAPs from some of the auctions and projects, really the open source projects at statefulmirror.xyz. My first IRL POAP was the New York City DAO meetup in Ridgewood, Queens. And it was given to me by POAP God.
Sounds good.
You met POAP God in person, which I know a lot of people did, but he's kind of gone dark, hasn't he?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, he gave me my first POAP. He literally gave me he POAP billed me. Other than, well, technically I had my first POAP.
You.
Well,
I had my first POAP from Beacon Book, but yeah, I mean, he gave me a sticker with like the actual logo on it, and he like, I guess reinforced. He gave me my second, my real physical POAP pill. Yeah, I was hooked
Yeah.
since then.
He he hasn't tweeted since February, so that's 7 months now.
all right.
We need to do like the bat signal, but for POAP God. Have to brainstorm.
Yeah, I wonder what it'd be. It can't just be the POAP symbol. I feel like that'd be signaling Patricio or something. But okay, so as for me, my very, very first POAP, it came from Superphiz. He was showing me how to use Zapper in a Zoom call, and he was basically showing me how to play the game or the quest that Zapper was doing at the time. This is when they were in season 1. I was a complete crypto noob, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And Superphiz was just rubbing his hands and licking his chops because he's like, yes, I got another noob hooked into crypto. And then he gave me a POAP, and I was like, what the heck is this thing? And now I'm almost 200 deep. So thanks, Superphiz, for deflowering me and my POAP gallery. And then, you know what? Funnily enough, he was able to turn around and do it again, because the very first POAP that I got IRL was when Superphiz, he gave me what basically is like a cup coaster that had the image of "You've met Superphiz," and then it had the QR code on the back where I was able to scan it into my gallery. So Superphiz
When
being able to double deflower me.
when I green pill, I like to seal the deal.
Yep, he made sure that he was all over my NFT memories. But those were my two. Thanks everybody for sharing your first POAP, your first real life POAP, and everybody else in the chat as well. I've been really enjoying seeing everyone post what their first POAPs are. But all right, everyone, we are coming to the end of our time with you tonight. Thank you so much for being here and spending time with us and hearing what we had to say about what's going on in the POAP community. So I do want to point you towards the POAP YouTube channel. If there was anything that you ended up missing in this call, or you want to go back and look at any other past community calls, this is definitely the place that you want to go. Be able to keep up with everything going on, even some live streams being planned. For example, the Get POAP community call, the very first one was live streamed to the official POAP YouTube channel. So be sure to go over there and subscribe and see what all is going to be going on over there. And again, if you ended up missing anything from here, you can check it out there.
Speaking of live streams, there's going to be kind of a big deal live stream September 14th that people might want to join. I don't know if they're going to be POAPs, but the merge is kind of a big deal, and ETHStaker is hosting a call, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yep, I can pull that up for everybody really quick. I actually hit the notification for that to get it. I don't know how I can find it, actually. I can send a link to the channel so people can go ahead and like subscribe to it. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be on the Ethereum Foundation's YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. It'll be on Ethereum Foundation, and if you watch bordel.wtf, it will tell you we'll start the painting party, the POAP painting party, 2 hours before Bordel predicts the merge. And so that right now it is September 14th in the evening in the US. But obviously your time will vary.
Awesome. But all right, everyone, I do want to describe how you claim the POAP for this week's POAP community call. So you're going to be here in the official POAP Discord. You're going to go to the Join Guild channel. If you have not already, be sure to join the POAP Guild over on guild.xyz. There is a button for you to click to be able to see that and be able to get your role here in the Discord, the Guildor role. Once that is complete, there's going to be another button that's going to pop up. I think, Anthony, normally you're the one who rolls that out. Can you give me confirmation that that's there? I can't really look
It's
at it during the call.
currently live.
All right, excellent. It is live. So you're going to click on the Claim POAP button, and then it will give you a link to be able to go and do a transaction to get your POAP. So you can either spend about $1 worth of ETH on Ethereum mainnet, or you can switch over to Polygon Network and you can have about $1 worth of Matic or one DAI stablecoin. Still trying to get USDC to work, but they still have to get a few kinks out of the system to make it not be $1 trillion or whatever it pops up as. So
Nope.
yeah,
No one bought $1 trillion POAP.
it's unfortunate. I was trying to exit scam with that. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. Anyway, so it's still going to be ETH, Matic, and DAI stablecoin as your choices. Again, be sure to be on the correct network in order to use the proper token that you want to use. Thanks everybody for coming out to the POAP Community Call this week. We'll see you again next Wednesday, and I hope everybody stays safe. And have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming.